podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
I'm Gary Birtles, one of the old gits from a long time ago. You've got to tune into Tricky Talks, I believe, so just do it. All the best.
Robertson, the first time we've seen them attack them, and there's Francis! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robertson do. And still Robertson, getting his shot in, and a goal! Robertson!
Hello and welcome along to the Tricky Talks podcast. It's a Chelsea special this week, as not only do we face the blue version at the City Ground on Saturday, but our co-host version is back after a short break away. Good to see you back, Chelsea. How are you doing?
Hello, yes, it's good to be back. Lovely to see you all.
Yeah, and Kate is here as well. How are you, Kate?
I'm good. I think I've enjoyed the international break and I've found a little bit of positivity from somewhere. So, yeah, bring it on.
And I know Gary Birtles says in his intro, Mollo, he's an old git. So, talking of old gits, how are you?
Getting older by the day, funnily enough. Yeah. All good, thank you.
Yeah, not as old as me, I have to say.
But not yet.
It's hot on the heels of, like you say, Kate, International Week, where England have finally qualified for the World Cup with a game or two to spare. Obviously, the highlight for us as Forest fans was the performance of Elliot Anderson, because I think it's fair to say he's now cemented himself as a certain player to go to the World Cup, and he's also cemented himself as a first-choice England regular now, hasn't he? I don't think there's any doubt about that now. Does anyone like to summarise his performances for England over the last week or so, last couple of games? Because you can start waxing lyrical about him, can't you, the way he's playing at the minute?
Absolutely. He watching the game, I knew he ran the game, didn't he? He didn't just play well, he ran the game. And I think I read afterwards somewhere he had 130 passes, of which 94 or 95% were successful. Won loads of tackles. I get completely about the opposition. I think probably like a lot of Forest fans, round about the 60-minute mark, I was like, get him off now. Get him off now. Stop taking off Arsenal players. Take off some Forest players, please. And I get it. I totally get it. But at 3 or 4-0, whatever the score was at that point, what was the point of a player that has played every minute of almost every game this season, including for international? But then Thomas Tuchel hates Forest, we know that.
So I think regardless of the opposition, we still celebrate a guy that's in form, absolutely smashing it out of the park for his country, and experiencing some wins. That must be nice for him, isn't it? Everybody's saying I'm playing really well, and then we won. This is the thing that he's not used to in the past few games, but hopefully it's something that we are going to potentially see a little bit more of. And you know what? I don't mind the interest. We as Forest fans knew how good he was and how lucky we were to get him, how we got him when we got him. So I think we've always known there's going to be interest from other clubs, and anything that shines a light on the positives of Forest is absolutely all right with me, and they can be interested all they like. I don't think Marinakis is letting him go anytime this season, and I think he needs to be playing games. And there is not a deal of point him going somewhere else right now to sit on a bench when he is in such fantastic form. So keep looking. He's our boy at the moment.
Yeah, I read somewhere as well that it was pointed out arguably he's the best midfielder in England at the minute. And if he was to get interest from other clubs over the next summer, for instance, I don't think he would sit on anybody's bench. I think he's that good. He can get in any team in the world at the minute. He's playing so well. And touch on a point you said, Mollo, about wanting him to be taken off, and obviously clearly that's purely from a selfish point of view, isn't it, in terms of not wanting him to get injured for Forest, but at the same time that's offset by the fact that he's playing more minutes for England, and the more Forest players that play minutes, the better he becomes, the better it might make Forest as well. It'll obviously increase his profile, which ultimately, if he was to leave and go I say go to a bigger club. There's no bigger club at the minute, is there, from Forest? But we're biased. Then it'll all help him with his experience as well. So the more Forest players that play minutes for England, the better, as far as I'm concerned. But I get your point, Mollo, about the injury risk, of course.
That's the thing. We all know how good he is, and selfishly we want to keep him. So we want to gloat about him, but we also don't want to gloat about him too much because we don't want other people to pipe up and want him. But any player that plays for, plays that well and plays for, for their country, there's no way that his price tag's huge and people are going to look out for him, and you can't dispute that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who on earth couldn't see what they had at Newcastle?
Yeah.
Because I've had a conversation with a couple of Newcastle fans, and they saw him as someone who can play anywhere across the front three in the number 10 role. What is going on up there? They couldn't see what they had. Incredible.
I think it's just a massive error on their part, isn't it? Obviously, we're the beneficiaries of that, but you're right. It's almost like, what were they thinking? Could they not have found somebody else to sell to comply with their PSR rules? It's mind-boggling because it's a massive mistake on their part. Not complaining, mind.
No. But what it does bring into question is the people in charge of their recruitment, their academies, everything, that couldn't see it. So what do you do when you've got it wrong? You go to the place that got it right and you take Ross Wilson or whoever was responsible, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, what do you, in terms of Anderson's ongoing value, if he plays in the World Cup next year like he's playing now, his value's going to skyrocket, isn't it? And he's easily going to be £100 million plus player in no time, I think. So the question is, at what point do you have to cash in? Clearly, as fans, we want the best players to play for Forest, and I'm sure none of us would want to ever see him leave for as long as possible. But at what point do you have to think of a business decision?
It's a tough question because it's how you use the money and replace them, isn't it? Do you go out and buy 13 players again, or do you actually think we could actually splash the cash on a £50 million player? For me, you can't, even now, let alone if he performs at the World Cup, you're talking north of 100 million. I liken him now more to Roy Keane than any player we've had since, other than the obvious thing. If he adds goals to his game, then just forget it. He's worth more than... You're looking at certainly a British record transfer potentially, aren't you? It's hard to... And that sounds... Even as an unbiased person trying to say that, he has everything. Do you remember that game? He played a couple of games at number 10 when Gibbs White was suspended. And he played that well in that position. And people said, he can do the job of number 10 instead of Gibbs White, whatever. Daft talk, because anyone who got eyes could see that he was a complete all-round midfielder. I think you can't even start the conversation at less than 100 million right now in January, let alone, you say if he performs on a world stage, wow. And injury permitting, he's probably going to get that chance.
I mean, that sort of cost, there aren't many teams that can afford that, are there? But say he gets sold for, I don't know, upwards of 100 million, then if that fee is paid in instalments over a number of years, say, I don't know, 50 million a year for 3 years, that's going to mean Forest potentially won't need to sell any other players during that period to comply with PSR, potentially. So there is that angle to look at it. But we're way ahead of ourselves there. Obviously, we all hope Anderson remains with Forest as long as we can. Somebody else that was in the rumours, and this was raised by UK, I think, in your Gary Baldy Girls chat, that apparently Bayern are interested in Murillo.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, Anderson is only ours to borrow, and I think we always knew that. And to a degree, I would say Murillo is the same. And I would arguably always prefer to see one of our players go outside of the Premier League if they've got to go, but not just yet. Not just yet with Murillo, please. Off your pot, Bayern. No, I'm not having that.
Yeah, interestingly, I was talking of Murillo. I've seen on his Instagram, I don't know whether you guys have seen it, but he's been away this week with his family in Marbella.
His baby.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, hang on, and if he's not selected for Brazil, why is he? Surely he would have been in training for the week. Have they all had some time off this week? I don't know. I haven't seen anyone else.
I mean, it might be to do with the injury, the
I thought
in out nature of how he's been so far this season, and maybe they have had a little bit of time off from the circus, some of them, because that's probably been much needed. I've certainly felt I've had a little bit of time off from the circus, and that's been good.
Yeah,
and I'm not Murillo.
It has. Bayern Munich, of course, who are interested in Murillo, are in the Champions League. We're in the Europa League, as you know, and Porto tickets have now gone on general sale. What do you guys make of that? Because a season or two ago, that would have been unheard of. What's the reasons for that, do you think? Is it the fact that ticket prices they're charging a lot for tickets for not just Europa League, but there are obviously league games that people still need to pay for if you exclude season ticket holders? You've got, is it the Ange effect that's having an impact? What is it? What would you guys put it down to? Because I mean, obviously, I'm a benefit of that, so I'm able to go to the Porto game, thankfully, and so I'm not complaining personally. But it does seem strange after we've had years of sellouts, game after game at home, where tickets are like gold dust. All of a sudden, they're becoming available again. Anyone like to shed any light on that? Got any theories?
I think, prices do play a part. I'm not saying that they don't play any part in this at all. People have money worries, and, that is something that they don't have to buy. Their money could go elsewhere. So I'm not taking that away. However, I do worry and I fear that there is a big part to play in the Ange effect, as you just said, Simon, because people, we all know, we've all been at a game where you've lost, and the feeling that you get afterwards, you just think, oh, for goodness sake, and it just makes you just feel low, whereas you want to go and to see your team win. That's ultimately the goal of what you want to go and watch. And I think maybe people are feeling, is it worth it? Could I watch it on telly? Would it be easier? I haven't wasted my money, because we are in this rut at the moment of where we are just on this, we are losing more. And I know we've drew a couple of times, but our people really want to go and watch us at the moment with the rut that we are in. And unfortunately, that is what I am worried that is the case.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you combine that, Chelsea, with the fact that the Europa League tickets are quite expensive at the moment, aren't they? Mm-hmm. And like I said earlier, that's another 50 quid and upwards that you've got to fork out for a European game, at least. And I know obviously a lot of people will go with their kids and their families and stuff. So it's an expensive time, isn't it? I know you touched on it, Mollo, didn't you, earlier? And but I guess you guys are not so impacted being season ticket holders. However, you did have to buy the European package, I guess. So it's an expense, whichever way you look at it, isn't it?
I tell you what, if we had beaten Midtjylland, beaten them all, or certainly beaten them well, as at the time we thought we probably would do, I'm not so sure these tickets would have gone on general sale, because then people would have sat at home and watched it. Your season ticket holders that didn't buy the game, the members that didn't bother, and they would have then had that FOMO. They would have been like, gosh, I can't believe I wasn't there. I could have been there, and look, we've done amazing. But exactly what you've just said, those that didn't and sat there and watched that at home and probably went and made themselves a cup of tea at about 70 minutes, they are not going to be scrambling to get to the next one. They're not. So if you're already a little bit, can I afford this, should I, then I think you are absolutely not necessarily gonna rush out and buy your Porto tickets. So you could argue that is the Ange effect. I think it stems from it being expensive, and then it's compounded by the Ange effect. But then would you look at this, that's literally just popped up on my phone, I don't know if you can see that. So the notification to say Chelsea home over the weekend with a big tickets available next to it. So Premier League.
I saw that. I was having a look the other day, and there are lots and lots of single Chelsea tickets dotted about all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was about 1,200, wasn't there? So we're not talking massive numbers, but that was unthinkable the last time we played Chelsea, albeit that was almost like a Champions League playoff. I think there's another issue here, which is volume of games that you've got to actually pay for, with or without a season ticket. And Kate makes a really good point. The people sat at home will be thinking at the Midtjylland game, thank God I didn't waste my money. I know that's not how supporting is and how it should be. But like you say, me and my daughter obviously season tickets, but it cost us over 200 quid to watch that game, the four of us. Five of us, sorry, so way over 200 quid. What am I on about? And the fact that the rest of the family don't have season tickets, the Leeds game the other day, the Man United game, which are tickets available for, it is a constant drain on resources, and it's a different type of drain because you go back to 4 years to the Championship, and I don't want to, I should say, financially, even if you didn't have a season ticket prices were so different. They've gone up almost exponentially. And a casual fan that chooses a game, 120 quid a month, 2 games a month. Well, I haven't counted how many games are in a space of between people's paydays. It is without doubt, not without doubt, but the impression I'm getting from feedback I've read from other people, it's primarily a financial thing. Nottingham's not an affluent city in particular anyway. It's not a poor city or anything like that, but you've got to pick and choose, haven't you? Not everyone's as bigger idiots as us where, pay the mortgage, Forest season ticket and tickets, and then we can worry about gas and electricity or going out or whatever. Other people actually think differently. And rightly so.
I was literally talking to a season ticket holder, and he was explaining to me that he has no intention of going to any of the European games. And I was just standing there listening to him talk, and I was like, I just don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying.
I bet they will when if we get to the semi-final.
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking if and it's obviously a big if, Forest are lucky enough to get to the semi-final, and there's that people like that are going to potentially be way down the list for tickets if they follow what they did last year around
the FA Cup semi.
The FA Cup, where if you attended multiple FA Cup games, you got priority. If they do the same for the Europa League, then people like that are going to be way down the list. And I bet they'll be the first to complain, being a season ticket holder, I can't get a ticket, won't they?
Absolutely. But I also, I've got to be careful what I say here in a public forum, that what they did for the FA Cup semi-final, I applauded that. I thought, brilliant. That is Forest looking after a situation of loyalty. Would I back Forest to do that on a regular basis? Bearing in mind when we got promoted, all loyalty points disappeared, etc., etc. Probably not. I think, and who's to say? I don't know. I can't. Knowing how some people work, they'll have still bought the tickets and then palm them off to people at the slightly cheaper price that. I mean, it really was only slightly cheaper price that we were offered, but it was at a time when we're paying for various other things in the football context. And it was £210 for all 4 games, which is an absolute bargain at £52.50, I'm sure.
And when you've got a family as well, like you guys have, it's a lot of money, isn't it? It's a lot of money. I just want to go back to a point that you made in our WhatsApp group, Mollo, when you got tickets for the Man United game, and you put a message in the group well after they'd gone on sale to core members and saying there were lots left and you had no problems in getting a ticket. And I thought, wow, that's unheard of. That was the first sign to me there was a bit of an issue with all of this going on. And because it's obviously, you guys know I can only go to a certain number of games, and I have to rely on that membership level to get tickets for me and Danny, even though I'm a pro member, and it's an ongoing struggle for Premier League games for me. I've faced all sorts of battles trying to get tickets for games I want to go to, but that was the first sign I got when you made that comment that things were changing. And then I've just gone on and had a quick look, and I managed to get tickets for the Leeds game in November, and I logged on at 10 a.m. and had absolutely no problems in getting the seats that I wanted at all. And I've just had another look now, and there's, even though at this stage normally the ballot applications have been opened, there's hundreds and thousands of tickets still left. It's really, really unusual to see that. Obviously, I'm a beneficiary of that, but it is strange times at the minute, isn't it? Considering what we've been through over the last few years of every single game being really hard to get tickets for.
Not wishing to hark back to it, but those people that bought the tickets to Midtjylland when they went on general sale, okay, they are not going to have had a positive experience at the City Ground. That was, they equally aren't necessarily, and especially, when you're talking about families, because I certainly felt very uncomfortable being there with my kids, they aren't necessarily going to be rushing back either. So, I mean, you can look at it in a lot of different ways. What we need is a win and a bit of momentum, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
All the reasons, the ticket reasons, the fan reasons, the manager reasons, the media reasons. Goodness me, we ever need to win more.
Clamour for tickets also was created a little bit out of a FOMO, to use the phrase that Kate used there. There was a bit of Forest are playing in the Premier League, don't want to miss it. Forest are playing in the FA Cup semi, don't want to miss it. What are you missing out on if you've missed out the last few games? As Kate just said, that Michelin game was a car crash in every possible way, on and off the pitch. It was horrendous. That's going to happen as a football fan. And maybe, terrible thing to say, some of the Johnny-come-latelys that have only known as maybe getting promoted and in the Premier League, maybe they're kind of getting a taste of what we've all had for the last 20-odd years. And it tests your loyalty, all those journeys to Oldham and Colchester. Well, Colchester wasn't so bad, to be fair. They're just like, suddenly we're not going to win at Anfield, but we're getting beat by a bunch of Lego building part-timers or whatever. So it's, it's all there, isn't it? It's all there. And in some ways, it's not all bad, because the general sales thing has meant quite a few fans that followed Forest through thick and thin that had dropped out of the equation and then missed out getting back on it, and now getting to see the boys again. So there is that, I suppose.
You know how everything's a subscription now? Music, movies, even socks. I swear if I...
To continue this ad, please upgrade to Premium Plus Platinum.
What? No. Anyway, Blue Apron...
This is a pay-per-listen ad. Please confirm your billing.
Oh, that's annoying. At least with the new Blue Apron, there's no subscription needed. Get delicious meals delivered without the weekly plan.
Wait, no subscription?
Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Big color, bigger savings. It's Sherwin-Williams' biggest super sale. Get 40% off paints and stains October 17th through the 27th with prices starting at $29.39. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
You say Layer Road wasn't bad, or Molly, you say Colchester wasn't bad. I assume you're talking about Layer Road, their old stadium, and not the new one, because the new one's quite cool. But their old one, I went to the last game they played at Layer Road. I don't know if you managed to make it there for that one. We stood behind the goal in this very small terrace, and it was back in the League One days, unfortunately. And I know Forest got a really late equaliser. And I'm ashamed to say Forest getting a late equaliser at Colchester. But my mates are Colchester fans, and Ginger's a Colchester fan, Mollo. And they've been giving me so much stick. Every time I see them, it's because Colchester came back and got 2 goals in injury time to win 3-1. And that was
I stood with you for that one.
Were you? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was those days were long gone, thankfully. But talking of seating, it does lead me on to a next thing I wanted to mention, and this is the stadium refurbishment that has been in the news this week. I know we didn't put it in the list of our things to talk about, but it's just occurred to me that that's a significant piece of news that cropped up earlier in the week around the revamped design for the Peter Taylor stand, where they're going to look to increase the capacity from the 5,000 it is now to a massive 15,000, which will make it one of the largest football stands in the country. That is going to, was the long-term vision of that, is going to potentially solve a lot of the ticketing issues if they were to reoccur. There's going to be a lot of pain in the short term, isn't there? Depending on what they do with regards to the reconstruction. I know I mentioned it in a previous pod. Their aim was to build, like what Liverpool did, build behind the Peter Taylor stand and up and over, so that potentially there might not be much reduction in capacity if they can get that upper tier open before they close the lower, what is currently the Peter Taylor stand. But really ambitious plans. And also to fill in the Trent End corners as well with additional seating. Danny said to me, won't that make it like a bit of a soulless bowl? And I said, No, I don't think it will be, because they're one structure, aren't they, those bowls? They're one structure, whereas this is still going to retain its individuality on each of the stands. But just wanted to know what you guys thought of the new... Obviously, we haven't seen anything visually yet, but the plans sound really good, don't they?
Sounds like I'm going up in the world. I hadn't heard that bit, that they were going to build behind and then above. That's quite nice, because...
That's what I'd heard.
Yeah, we have wondered quite what will happen. We were originally assured that we will retain our season tickets and we will be rehoused within the stadium, but we have no idea what that looks like. So yeah, interesting.
It'd be interesting to see what the new A block would look like. It would always be known as A block, even though if they rename everything, it may not be named A block. But I think they should keep it, don't you? Being an A block regular, Mono.
100%, absolutely, 100%. Because let's be fair, after our amazing atmosphere of the last 2 or 3 years, we're definitely not seeing it as much now, are we? And that we need those enclaves of where you've got people who just randomly, the famous seat man, randomly sing songs for the whole game, and occasionally people will join in, as opposed to when the going is good. But yeah, I think so, and I think they are ambitious plans, and I like the look of them, and it'll open the door for far more season ticket holders, which will take the pressure off people like, obviously, my wife and whatnot. They'll be able to actually have season tickets. Someone like yourself, Simon, may or may not be quite as viable, but at least it's an option you'll be able to consider, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's keep visualising the height of it that they're talking about, and it's almost as tall as the Civic Centre, you know, what's now the Posh Flats. And I'm like, wow, that is going to dominate the skyline. That will be incredible. From where I live, you'll be able to see, because we've got a great view near us, looking down towards Trent Bridge and then the Forest ground behind. It'd be even better.
I looked at the comparison on the height of the new stand compared to the original design, and the original design was almost on a par with the Brian Clough stand in terms of height. This new proposal is far, far bigger than that. So it's going to be absolutely massive if it comes off. Talking of A block, I tried to persuade Danny would he like to go and sit in A block for the Leeds game, Mollo, and he wouldn't. I think he said, I'm not old enough, and because he's 14. I don't know if there is an age range on
it is
on
14.
A block.
There's loads of teenagers in there.
Yeah, and I think
14.
he was a bit hesitant, and I can't think why. Maybe it was just hanging out with you and your mob, I think. But I can see Chelsea loving A block, actually.
Oh, I'd totally be there. When I hear you speak about it, I'm like, yes, that'd be me and Dad.
Yeah.
Very passionate, and that can work both ways sometimes.
Yeah,
Fabulous.
your dad, Chelsea, could be seat man. If you're listening, Kev, you can be seat man. Right. Talking of Chelsea, then, not you, the team, Chelsea. Is it going to be Ange's last game? That's the big question. I mean, we've heard stories in the press recently of Sean Dyche being lined up. There's an article in The Athletic today that suggests that it could be a pivotal game. It could influence what Marinakis does, depending on the performance and the result. But what do you guys think? Do you think if whatever happens, do you think it's Ange's last game?
Do you notice how we all paused then? Yeah.
I just didn't want to jump in. I'm going to say no unless we get absolutely hammered. Then his hand might be forced by the strength of feeling of some of the fans. If it's a good battling performance with another narrow defeat, you ask yourself, have we moved forward at all? Because they're obviously a good side, Chelsea. If we get something, then he has to stay. You know my feelings. I don't think there's any point bringing in a manager and then bombing them out less than a month later. I think it still is. I think at least till Christmas he should be given, but I know that might not be the case if things don't change. It's those W's. We need those W's, don't we?
Yeah. Go on, Chelsea. You were going to chip in.
I'm getting a bit fed up with Ange, if I'm completely honest with you. I'm the other way to Mono. In my head, I'm going, right, if we win, brilliant. Maybe that's our rut that we're now out of. If we don't win, brilliant. It's another step closer to Ange being out. That's how I'm looking at it, because I'm frustrated. I don't feel like this is the Forest that we all know and love, not by players at all. I'm not disputing the players at all. I love them all dearly. I just think the shoe doesn't fit for me at the moment. It might be that he hasn't had enough games. It might be that we win tomorrow. Absolutely brilliant. But can I see it happening? Absolutely not. I have as much faith in Ange at the moment as when I hear politicians talk on telly. That is the only way I can describe how I feel about Ange. I just can't. He overpromises and he's just under-delivering at the minute. I mean, when we look at Burnley, okay, we were away. We drew 1 point. Then we go on to Sunderland at home. We lost. That should have been 6 easy points. And I'm just...
PTSD.
Yeah. Sorry, Mollo, I do apologise. But that should have been 6 guaranteed points on the board. We are 17th. I feel like I'm just being the reality at the moment. We're 17th. Is that 5 points we've got so far? I think on the board. Let me have a look.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 5 points. And for me, I know everyone says, yeah, but we've got a long season ahead. I don't want to be in a situation where we can't fix it. And I would rather stop now. I would prefer Sean Dyche to come in, to be honest. I feel like I have got more faith in him. I know I'm being very controversial and slightly opinionated. Sorry to everybody who doesn't agree with me.
If that's been controversial, Chelsea, then I don't know what we've been over the last few weeks.
So, yeah, I'm just a ticked off Forest fan at the moment, can you tell?
Fair enough. So you mentioned Sean Dyche, but interestingly, it's been reported that several other names have been bandied about. Brendan Rodgers is one, with his contract being up at the end of the season with Celtic, and that would fit with a short-term end of season to the end of the season appointment if that was to be somebody like Sean Dyche. But also, I didn't know how accurate this was, but apparently the contracts for Oliver Glasner, Marco Silva, and the Bournemouth manager are all up at, whose name I can't pronounce. I'm not even going to attempt that. Are all up at the end of the season. Yeah, that's the one. Well done. They're all those deals are apparently, according to the Nottingham Evening Post website, are up at the end of the season. So those managers are going to be in demand, aren't they? Is it worth trying to get Silva, or somebody like Silva, beforehand, do you think, just to ensure that you grab somebody that you really, really want and don't lose out in the summer?
That's my issue. That's my issue with all of this. I mean, I can never stand here and say that I don't want Forest to win. I do want Forest to win. I don't like the narrative of, I hope we lose so he gets sacked. No, never going to go along with that. As I've said all along, I didn't want Ange, but we can't undo that. He is here. What I don't want is a short-term replacement, particularly. That's the alarm bells for me with Dyche. You know, if we want somebody other than Ange, if we are saying Ange is not our guy, he is not our manager, and we are pulling that plug, then can we please go for somebody who is our long-term plan? Okay, because if we're going to tread water, there's probably people already there that can do that. Okay, yes, I see all the positives with Sean Dyche, and if Marinakis believes that Sean Dyche is the manager who takes us forward, who catapults us up the Premier League, gives us a cup run, you know, smashes it out the park in Europe, then okay, I'll listen to that. Okay, convince me that he is that guy. But if what we're saying is we're going to get Dyche in for a little bit, and then when these managers become available at the end of the season, we'll have one of them. We don't know who else is going to be looking at that point. We don't know what the rest of our season is going to look like and how attractive we are. If we want Silva, and he would absolutely be my choice of those that are potentially available, then have him now. Because whatever his contract buyout is, it's not insurmountable for this club, you know. So if we want Silva, we sack Ange and we hire Silva. And yes, we've got a lot of season left to go. So we do that under the guy that we think is going to take us forward and is going to potentially be with us next season as well. I mean, long-term in football management, I'm not sure that even exists anymore, but it should be at least past the end of this season. And this this is the thing that's frustrating me about it most of all. Why are we messing about? Why are we faffing about with, and we might have this guy for a little bit, or we might stick with this guy for a little bit longer, or we might just, if you want Silva, let's have Silva. If you want Dyche, for as long as Dyche is winning for us. If we're sticking with Ange, which, you know, let's see what happens on Saturday, then that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, just before you do, Mollo, if you want Silva, let's hope he strikes gold, because otherwise they'll be back to where they were. And there's this week's pun. Go ahead, Mollo.
I'm struggling now. I'm going to say the exact opposite, purely because if we really wanted Silva that much, what's changed in 1 month that we didn't go and get him in the first place?
Yeah.
If we could get him, we would have him, but we can't, and nothing's going to have changed in a month apart from we're even more crap. So we're not as an attractive a proposition as we were a month ago. So from a footballing point of view, Silva, who's got a very good reputation, is going to look at it and go, I need a pre-season there before I come in there. That's why I think if, and we shouldn't really be directly talking about it, I suppose, but if things don't work out with Ange, and, you know, that's definitely at best 50-50 at the moment, the perfect scenario for me is Ange gets us going, we move our way up the league, we play the football we know he's capable of putting in, players stop getting injured, and everyone says, oh gosh, do you remember I was one of those people who said I want him out or whatever? Sorry, Ange, I'll take it back. Do I think that'll happen? I'm an optimist, but I'm struggling to see it happen. I personally think they've got to strike a deal with whoever it is they want to come in at the end of the season, because then they can, top to bottom, work at every level they need to of the club. They can do a pre-season, which we know is absolutely vital in any level of football, in professional football, but especially here. And although my choice would be Glasner, actually, but beggars can't be choosers, and we'll see what happens. And I just think if things don't improve under who we've got in a minute, Ange, then they're going to have to sack him, no doubt about it. You need a firefighter. You need someone who you can almost guarantee, no one can guarantee, but almost guarantee keep you up. And perhaps we're selling Sean Dyche first, because he's never worked with a squad as talented as what we've currently supposedly got. Certainly not a squad who's managed 7th in the Premier League, virtually. So if he comes in, first thing he's going to do is stop us conceding goals. Once you stop conceding goals, you start winning games, don't you? And then we stay up, and then it's a decision to make. If he's that good and with these players and whatnot, they might say, actually, this is the option for the next 12 months, 18 months, whatever. Because as Kate says, long-term in football management seems to be a thing of the past, especially with our owner. And then in the summer, bring in the guy that you've prepped. You make sure you get the equivalent of a pre-contract. You don't go to the end of the season and say, thanks, Mr. Dyche, for keeping us up. Go and try and get these, and then you can't get any of them, and you're left twiddling your thumbs or back with the begging bowl to someone, whoever kept you up, and saying, actually, can you stay a bit longer? But I think the likes of Silva, Glasner and co that we keep being linked with, if we could have got them, we would have them in place by now. I think that's pretty clear, because not that much has changed in a month, and certainly not for the better from their point of view. You know, whatever it costs, but they've also got this stupid PSR situation to think about now, haven't we, as well? Which, I forget who it is. There's another club, isn't there? I can't think. West Ham. Because they keep sacking managers and it's costing them a fortune, it's starting to affect their PSR thing, isn't it? And we could easily end up in that position too. So I think we've got to be pragmatic, give the guy a chance to instill what he believes. If it doesn't work and we do have to sack him, get whatever short term, get Big Ron in, whatever, Sam Allardyce, someone in to save you. And then come the summer, then you can go again. But they've got to be working on that person way before the summer.
And it all starts, of course, with Chelsea on Saturday lunchtime. Before we get on to that, I know we're over halfway in the show, but Kate, have you got a quiz for us this week?
Yes, I do. Yes,
well,
I do.
Let's do it now quickly. It'll only give us a few minutes to mull over what the answers are before we cover it off at the end of the show. But let's go ahead and do it now.
Trying to stay nice and topical here. So, Cape Verde. No, not about Ange. Too many questions about Ange. Cape Verde have qualified for their first ever World Cup. Name the 2 former Forest players from Cape Verde.
I loved Mollo's face then. He was like, yes, and oh no.
You said 2.
There you go.
I know. I was thinking of the chap, the player who played for It wasn't Cape Verde. I was getting confused. Who's that? The South American boy, very young. He's gone on to... I can't remember his name.
I know what you mean. He went on loan to Bristol Rovers.
Yeah. I thought he was Cape Verde, but he's not, is he? He's South American. Well, let's come back to that one at the end of the show. That's really hard, that one. Don't know that one. But let's go on to Chelsea then. Currently, not you, Chelsea, the team Chelsea.
I'm Chelsea with a Y.
They're currently in 7th place after 7 games, having won 3, drawn 2, lost 2. They've scored 13 goals, so they're quite prolific. I think only Man City and Arsenal have scored more. They've also conceded 9, and there aren't too many teams. There's nobody in the top half of the table that have conceded more. Oh, Man United have conceded 11. And their recent form is mixed. Of their last 6 games, they've won 3, drawn 1, lost 2. The most recent win being at home to Liverpool with a late winner, of course. So they're going to be a difficult proposition, aren't they? But it seems as though the fact that it could have the potential for being a high-scoring game, with Forest leaking goals at the minute, Chelsea are scoring and leaking goals. What do you guys think? What do you think, Kate, in terms of how this game could go at the weekend?
So, do you remember when we had to beat Chelsea to get in the Champions League?
Well, don't talk about it, Kate.
Now we've got to beat Chelsea to avoid falling into relegation. So you could talk to me about statistics, how many they've won, how many we've won, how many who's scored, how many times we've met. I've heard them all. There's your stark reality. That's where we were. This is where we are. We have got to battle like we have never battled before in this game, and we've got to do that because yes, we need something out of it in terms of points, but also because of everything else that's going on. And I've said it before, as a fan base, what we want to see is those players out on the pitch, the manager battling with us to bring back the team that we love, to see a performance, and that is what I want to see more than anything else on Saturday. And there was an element of that at Newcastle, which did give me a little bit of hope and a little bit of heart. We need that absolutely tenfold on Saturday, and a point is enough. I've heard people say it's an absolute must win. A point and a good battling performance, for me, is enough. I go home happy. A loss and a massive performance and only a slim loss, then I'm gutted and I'm looking at that table and I'm very, very, upset. But I'm seeing something to hold on to. So for me, it is all about the battle on Saturday. That's what I need.
And if they're going to have a battle, they want the fans to be behind them as well. We don't want a repeat of Midtjylland where they're calling for the manager's sacking. The fans have got to get behind the team and focus on the 90 minutes or the 90 plus 5 or whatever it is. They've got to focus on backing the players. And if they need to vent their frustration, depending on the result, then at least wait until the final whistle and when the players can't do any more. I think it's really, really important, isn't it, to get behind the team?
100%. I think it's a bit nerve-wracking, isn't it? Because, and I hate doing this, normally I only look at us and what we do and then worry about it, but I was watching Sky Sports and Burnley are playing Leeds, aren't they? So someone's going to slip up or both are going to get points. So we've got to start picking up points, and a point against Chelsea would be a fantastic point because I don't think we've beat them yet, have we, since we got promoted at home?
Chelsea, no, we haven't. No. Yeah, we won one. We've got a better record away than we have at home.
So, just got to do, haven't we? They've got terrific players. I sat and watched that game against Liverpool, and they were superb, absolutely superb, and that's worrying. Although, let's hope Liverpool aren't what they were because playing them relatively soon. Tough. You'd make the assumption, wouldn't you, that Murillo will be available now, having, like you say, been off for his treatment in Spain or whatever he was doing. So you'd hope he's available. I think that is a massive, massive change, and that's nothing against the players that have played, because I think I've said a number of times Morato's been superb, but Murillo, I think it's no exaggeration to say Murillo's world class. Hence why Bayern Munich are looking at him, and that makes a big difference, huge difference. So if we get Murillo back, the Mr. In-out, Douglas Luiz, if he's fit and gives us 60 minutes again. You just never know, do you? One about if Wood or Jesus find their scoring boots again. Who knows?
You mentioned the Burnley Leeds fixture, and I've actually got 2 Burnley players in my FPL team. And because of that fixture, and they're normally on my bench, I'm playing my bench boost this week.
Ooh, tactics.
So I'm looking forward, Chelsea, to your update next week to see how I got on with the bench boost.
I will. I'll be looking out for that, Simon.
Yeah, it doesn't offer great returns normally, a bench boost, but you never know. So I think, Chelsea, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I just really want to echo what Kate said. Everyone is saying, it's a must-win game, and it would be great if we win. But regardless, even if Nuno was still in charge, if we took away a point from Chelsea, we would all be absolutely buzzing about that. So it's not a must-win game. We just need the performance to be there. We need the passion to be there. We need the fight to be there. Not just from the players, the fans need to get behind them, and also from Ange himself. And then I think why people are feeling that way is that it's just very much I feel like this game is going to define what's going to happen to us. I think that's why everyone is, putting so much emphasis on it. But I'm not going to lie, I am pooing my pants about the game. I will be a nervous wreck when the lineups come in. I will. The family are coming around. I've got a cousin who's a Chelsea fan. He's absolutely revelling in it. Me, not so much, but I'm not showing him that, I am feeling the way I am. But we'll just see whether we have a great Saturday afternoon or we don't.
Here's a scenario for you, Chelsea. So, Forest, you want Ange to be sacked, and obviously a negative result might help with that. But what would your reaction be then if Forest get a 90 plus 5 minute winner and Ange stays because of that? Where's your reaction going to be? Are you going to be jumping for joy or crying?
I'll totally be jumping for joy, and then the reality will go and go, well, he needs to carry on with this behaviour for him to stay. He still needs to, regain my trust in that aspect. But yeah, I will, a win for Forest is absolutely, you want that over every day. But yeah, I just can't see it happening through gritted teeth.
Give us a score.
God, right. Let me go kind of head or heart. Who do I go with? I'm going to go with head 3-1 Chelsea.
Okay, Kate.
Sorry.
Score prediction.
I'm going to go 2-2.
Oh.
Molo.
1-1. I wrote it down in case anyone else said it first.
And I'm going 2-1 Chelsea, I think.
And I'll be happily proved wrong.
Sorry.
Right, so let's go quick before we get to the end of the show. We're nearly out of time. Let's go back to the quiz question, Kate, because I can't think for the life of me who the Forest players are that previously played for Cape Verde. So, can you, Molo, have you got a clue, Chelsea?
I've got 3 names.
Oh, got 3. There was only 2, Molo.
I know.
Greedy.
I'm trying to decide which one to leave out, and they could all be wrong as well.
Have you got any? Have you got any?
No.
No. Okay.
I haven't.
Right.
Go on, Mike.
First one I'm going to go for is his name. I think it was Silva, but the guy who scored the own goal in that last game against Stoke.
Nuno da Costa.
Da Costa. I've got Da Costa. I put Da Costa.
That's one.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get half each? Because Molo couldn't actually name him, so do I get half and Molo gets half?
And then, well, as no one else knows, I'm gonna go with. I can't think out if I've spelled it. The young right backs, not De Silva or something De Silva, but I've also got like a Marino type name, and I can't remember at all.
Oh, it's that one.
Something Moreno De Silva or De Silva Moreno or so. I remember watching him play very occasionally. But yeah, that was all I could think of.
So Nuno da Costa, absolutely right. The one I think you're trying to get is Ryan Mendes.
Mendes, of course it is.
Yeah.
Okay, great question. I
wonder. What is that?
I don't know.
Not a clue.
Backwards. Hang on, the bottom one I wrote in brackets. Look. Mendes.
Maybe.
Why didn't I say that one?
Excellent.
So Marino,
right.
Da Costa, and Mendes. So never mind.
Okay. Any final thoughts? Start with you, Kate.
It's So a little something, which I think is a positive. So my middle one came home from school today and said, "Oh, Mum, I've entered a competition at school to win some tickets for Man U," which made me chuckle because obviously we're season ticket holders, so he's already going to Man U. But he said that his school have bought 10 tickets, so bought or been given, I'm not quite sure, 10 tickets to the Manchester United game, and there's a competition in the school for you to win them, and if you win them, they all go as a group, they all sit together, they're taken by teachers, and they go off to watch Forest Man U. And I just thought, actually, that's really nice. That's a really nice thing. That's Forest in the community, which, you know, we are good at, and you know, a little bit of positive. Hopefully some of those kids that win have never been to a Premier League game before, maybe never been to a live football match before. So I just thought, you know what, that's quite nice. So he said, talk about that on your pod, Mum. So there you go, Sam. 10 tickets going to your school. Hopefully some kids get a really nice experience out of that.
Good. Molo, anything from you? No. Okay, and seeing as this is a Chelsea special edition, we'll finish off with you, Chelsea. Anything you'd like to bring up?
Oh, I just need a draw on Saturday would be great.
I should have said the ladies are 2 points off the promotion places for WSL.
Oh.
Excellent. Right, that's it from us. We'll be back with you early next week with a review of the Chelsea game, and we'll look forward to a very tricky game against FC Porto in our next Europa League fixture. In the meantime, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.